Hello everyone and welcome to Rollinish. My name is Matt, and in this video we're going to be focusing on the two Sorcerous Origins. These are your subclass options starting at first level for the Sorcerer class. In your player's handbook there are two options, the Draconic Bloodline and Wild Magic. Before we get into that, I want to make sure you get a chance to visit and watch our Intro to Sorcerer video before this one. Because in that video, we're going to break down all the things sorcerers get, levels 1 through 20, and it explains things like spell slots and meta magic, which are the sorcery point options that all sorcerers get. This is going to be referenced in these two Sorcerous Origins, so be sure to check out that video and come right back so you don't get lost. Now, for the Draconic Bloodline option, this is going to be for somebody that has dragon somewhere in their bloodline. This does not mean that you are dragonborn, like the race, but you have a dragon somewhere in that bloodline, and its magic continues through your DNA. It is a known thing in D&D lore that dragons can transform themselves and walk around as a humanoid being. So this is a way that can explain how that got into your DNA. This also could be a different option if you want to use it for some kind of pact or bargain that was made with a dragon, and part of that bargain was to influence the bloodline. So you could be the first in your bloodline where this draconic magic is living on. So at first level, the first thing you need to do is choose a dragon ancestor. Based on the type of dragon that you choose, there will be an element associated with that could come into play later on. This table starts by showing you the metallic and chromatic dragon options. Like a black dragon would have acid, a blue would have lightning, brass fire, bronze lightning, copper acid, gold fire, green poison, red fire, white and silver are both cold. The dragon type in Dungeons and Dragons has this specific element tied to it. So could you have a red dragon that breathes lightning? Not the way that it is written. Could you homebrew something like that? Absolutely. But for the sake of this video, the type of dragon that you're going to choose, what kind of dragon was in your lineage, and based on that, there's this damage type that will come into play later. Part of you choosing Draconic Ancestry allows you the ability to speak, read, and write the Draconic language. So you pick up a language out of this. And anytime you make a charisma check interacting with dragons, your proficiency bonus is doubled if it applies to the check. So this could be very advantageous if you do come across a dragon, especially one of your type. Let your sorcerer do the talking. Also at first level, you get a feature called Draconic Resilience. This means that your hit point max increases by 1 and increases by 1 again every time you take a level in this class. So typically your health is determined by your hit dice plus your constitution modifier. For a Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer, it would also be +1 for the Draconic Resilience feature. So right away at level 1, and every time you level, you're going to get an extra hit point out of it. So out of, 20 levels, that's 20 extra hit points just for taking this subclass. Additionally, parts of your skin are going to be covered by a sheen, dragon-like scales. So when you're not wearing armor, your AC is going to be 13 plus your dexterity modifier. Now, this is something that's going to come in play when you're building your sorcerer. You have to think about this because if you've watched the Intro to Sorcerer video, your player's handbook is telling you that you should focus on charisma as your primary ability score, followed by constitution for your health. That might be true, and you might want to do that. So maybe the third highest you want to focus on dexterity. Or maybe you flip-flop them and make dexterity second, constitution third. Especially if you're going to take a Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer, because that AC, the higher your modifier is, the higher your armor class is going to be. So by taking the Draconic Resilience, Draconic Bloodline subclass, this Draconic Resilience is really going to help you with your armor class because you can't wear armor. So you're really limited in using Mage Armor, which is a first level spell slot, or Shield, another first level spell slot to help protect yourself. But by doing this, you'll have a decent armor class so long as you get that dexterity modifier up. So that might be something you want to consider. Elemental Affinity is a feature you get at 6th level. When you cast a spell that deals the damage type associated with your ancestry, you can add your charisma modifier to 1 damage roll of that spell. So a little bit extra damage. So you want to think about, if you are of a silver dragon lineage, that's cold damage. Maybe you want to get some spells that specifically deal cold damage because it's part of your backstory. It's part of your history now. But also, you get to add your charisma modifier to 1 damage roll of that spell. So that would be something that would really come in handy and a powerful spell, and it would make sense for your character. At the same time, you can spend 1 sorcery point to gain resistance of that damage type for an hour. So if you're dealing cold damage, maybe you take that and make yourself resistant to cold damage by spending a sorcery point. Maybe you're fighting something that has cold damage. You might want to consider that. So that's your elemental affinity. At 14th level, you gain the ability to sprout a pair of dragon wings from your back, gaining a flying speed equal to your walking speed. You can create these wings as a bonus action on your turn, and they last until you dismiss them as a bonus action on your turn. So you can make them pop out as a bonus action, you can make them go away as a bonus action. You can't manifest these wings if you're wearing armor unless the armor is made to accommodate them, right? Because armor is going to have a back. You can't grow unless you cut a space for them to come out of. So just think about that as part of like the role play. If you are going to be able to take a feat that allows you to wear maybe light armor, okay, maybe that's something that you do, and then now you can wear leather or studded leather. Just make sure that you role play getting those cut out for yourself later on. Maybe that's something you don't tell the party. You're like, all right, yeah, I'm going to do this, and they hear you role playing it. Maybe they ask, maybe they don't, but like at 14th level, when these wings come out of your back, it's gonna make sense then, and it'll be a nice moment. At 18th level, you get Draconic Presence. You can channel the dread presence of your dragon ancestor, causing those around you to be awestruck or frightened. As an action, you can spend 5 sorcery points to draw on this power and exude an aura of fear for a distance of 60 feet. For a minute or until you lose your concentration, as if you were casting a spell. Each hostile creature that starts its turn in this aura must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be charmed by you. If you're choosing they're in awe, you could choose charmed. Or they're frightened of you if they choose fear. Until this aura ends. Creature that succeeds on the saving throw is going to be immune to this effect for 24 hours. So that is a really cool thing you can draw on them being like awestruck by you or afraid of you, your choice. But that's part of your Draconic Presence. Those are very specific things that only the Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer gets. Now let's talk about the other option called Wild Magic. This is your innate magic comes from the forces of chaos that underline creation. Maybe it comes from one of the planes, something like that. You can kind of put some flavor on it as you will. But the first feature you get at first level is called Wild Magic Surge. Once per turn, the DM can have you roll a d20 immediately after you have cast a sorcerer spell of first level or higher. If you roll a 1, you must then roll on the Wild Magic Surge table to create that effect. So, for example, I'm going to scroll down because when you scroll down, you get a look at the table. Usually it's 2 rolls, somewhere between, I think 2 rolls, like 1 and 2 is one thing, 3 and 4 is another, all the way through 9 or a 00 roll on your D100. There are things that are very beneficial, like you cast Levitate on yourself, or you can cast Fog Cloud. You could do Fireball or a high level magic missile. So like after your spell happens, then you roll on the table. You roll a D100. If you land on a 1, you got to roll on this table and roll a D100. So even after maybe you did an attack spell, maybe you land on something that allows you to cast Magic Missile now. It just happens Okay, doesn't consume a spell slot. It just happens wildly because you have a chaotic magic that you have trouble controlling. This is how that happens. Some of the stuff, though, is bad and can be dangerous, like casting grease on yourself, casting fireball centered on yourself, causing flumps, 1d6 flumps to appear. Maybe they're hostile, maybe they're not, maybe they're frightened of you. There are things that can happen that are both good and bad on this table, and that is the chaos that represents. Like, the last one is very good. I don't think you see it on your screen, but 99 to a 0/0 roll is you regain all expended sorcery points. That's beautiful. So this could really be advantageous, but it also can be harmful, which makes it very balanced and very cool for the type of sorcerer that you would be becoming. All right, Tides of Chaos is also something you get at first level. You can manipulate the forces of chance and chaos to gain advantage on one attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. Once you do this, you can't do it again until you long rest. So this is just because you could just roll it and be like, I'm going to use my Tides of Chaos and roll that again. Beautiful. You could do that once per long rest. Anytime before you regain the use of this feature, the DM can have you roll on the wild magic table immediately after you cast a spell. So your wild magic is still in effect here. At 6th level, you get a feature called Bend Luck. You have the ability to twist fate using your wild magic. When another creature you can see makes an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw, you can use your reaction and spend 2 sorcery points. So you got to do them together. Use your reaction to spend 2 sorcery points to roll a d4 and apply the number as a bonus or penalty, your choice, to the creature's roll. So it says another creature. This could be a teammate of yours trying to make an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw, and you can use Bend Luck to benefit them. This creature could be an enemy, and maybe you're using this to bend the will, and you roll the d4, and they have to subtract that d4 roll from their attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. So this is kind of like a way to bend luck in favor of a teammate or against an enemy. That's very, very cool. At 14th level, you get Controlled Chaos. This means whenever you roll on the wild magic table, you can re-roll twice and use either one. So this gives you, it's almost like having advantage on the wild magic table. Maybe you roll something really bad and decide to re-roll it, and now it's something good. Obviously, you're going to use that. And it's great because it gives you that choice. It says you can use either number. It doesn't say you have to use the new roll. It says you can use either. So you get to roll twice on this and then pick what suits the situation better. It could be advantageous, right? Or it could be really harmful. But that's on you. At 18th level, you get Spell Bombardment. When you roll damage for a spell and roll the highest number possible on any roll of the dice, choose one of those dice and roll it again to add it. So this means, like, let's say you're rolling something and it asks you to roll a d8 for the spell, and you roll an 8. This means because you rolled the highest number for that die, you can roll that die again. I rolled a 6. I can add that to it. Because I rolled an 8, I get to roll that die again and use that. So that's a way of like really beefing up your spell damage output, and it's really beautiful. Once you can only do that once per turn. So if you use meta magic to cast another spell, you've already done Spell Bombardment, can't do it again. You're just going to naturally do what it normally does. But you could do it once per turn, which is really cool. Just, roll high. And that's what you get as a wild magic sorcerer. So again, this whole table is your wild magic surge table. Good luck with that. But you could really have this chaotic, wild magic sorcerer. And the tides, the wild magic surge could either benefit you or hurt you. But it is pretty balanced considering you can use your Tides of Chaos, you can bend luck, you got Spell Bombardment. So it tries to give you more good than harm, but don't let it fool you. That wild magic table should give you the jitters every time that you do it. All right, my friends, have fun playing your Draconic Bloodline or Wild Magic Sorcerer, and come back right here next week, because when you do, we are going to work and talk about the next class in the list, and that's the Warlock. Until then, keep rolling those dice, and we'll see you at the table.